not going to come on here and make excuses either, because the bottom line is Drew Stevens feels awful right now, and it is what it is. I mean, I think it was Vincent came on here last week and called Drew Stevens out. He's been really good, but man, that's a big miss today, and he missed one last week. So he's
Did he miss one against Iowa State?
He did not, but he almost did. That was called good. It was right over the upright. But no, I mean, the bottom line is like he's got to be better, and you can't have these back. These are the games you play for. If he makes that kick from whatever it was, 42 yards, does Iowa win this game, Alex? I think so. I think probably.
So, yeah, I think because on that last touchdown by Indiana, they don't send an all-out blitz. You know, they play their base defense, and
totally different play calling. Like the whole scenario changes if you're down by 3 as opposed to playing with house money in good field position. Keep in mind, they got good field position because of the missed field goal. So this whole game changes if that field goal is made. Now, you can't play the ifs, ands, or buts game, but it is reality that kick didn't decide the game, but it was, if we were going to come up with a big play of the game in the opponent's favor, it would be the missed field goal. I mean, I don't know what else you can call the biggest play for Indiana. It was Iowa missing a field goal.
So we talked about Drew Stevens. I don't think it's him. It's the entire special teams outside of Caden Weegie. Now, he had a bad game, but he's kind of rebounded from that. You got a block punt that thankfully went a little bit, about 29 yards. And then you have Drew Stevens missing kicks.
Well, the hard part is Drew is 2 of 3. That's the hard part. And he made a 50-plus yard field goal. So it's not like he was horrible the whole game. He missed one kick at a horrible time, horrible moment that was inside of 50. But the problem is he also missed a 40 last week. And if he's some great, like, there are rumblings early on here this season that he's one of the top kickers NFL scouts are keeping their eye on heading into this next draft class. So if that's the case, these last two games where you miss a 40, you miss a 42-yarder, those hurt you, especially pressure kicks, because he's been really good under pressure in general. He's made game-winning kicks at Iowa. And to see him, and that kick wasn't even close. I mean, he just hooked it. So
I feel like he's trying to just like boom the kick. Like he doesn't care like where it goes. He's like, I'm going to just put everything and show that I can make it from 70. And it's just like, there's times where it's like, this is why we have you, but you need to have a little finesse to it too. And
I'm not a kicking expert, Alex, but I'm going to say this real quick in response to your comment. Based on what I know about kicking, which is very little, guys kick the same on every kick. They're taught to kick the same on every kick. So he's not going to finesse a kick because it's inside of 50. That's not how that works.
It all depends on the yardage. Your longer kicks.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so let me explain that.
Go ahead.
So if you're kicking a longer kick, you want a lower trajectory because it travels further. The shorter kick, you can kick it a little higher and have that draw or hook to it. So that's why when you see kickers kick from 50, they get blocked more often because they have to kick it at a lower trajectory because they needed to travel that distance to get that extra to make the field goal. So when you're talking about difference of style of kicking, it's nuanced. Are you talking like how they actually kick the ball, or like where they kick the ball to, like, is it going to go straight up in the air, or is it going to be more of a line drive?
Okay, but what I'm telling you, and you may not like what I'm saying or not agree with it, which is fine, but based on what I know about kicking, they're not kicking that way. I know what you're saying, that you want a shorter to lower trajectory, but in general, if you're talking, maybe that changes when you're 50 plus, 55, 60 yards. But for, like, you see extra points, guys aren't just chipping extra points in. They're kicking like they would kick a field goal in. So I don't think he's changing his style, whether it's from 20, 30, 40, or even 50. Maybe he changes from 55 or 60, but the way he kicks is the way he kicks. I think that's true. I could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding. How kickers.
Yeah, and I could be wrong too. So and I think, did he miss last week because he was on, it would be the left hash this game, right? That's where he missed it, left hash. And he missed it from the left hash in Rutgers, I believe, right? So does he just kick better from the right?
Well, normally, I'm not a kicking expert, but my understanding is that it's easier for a right-footed kicker to kick from the left hash as opposed to the right hash.
Correct, but he's missed 2 from that half start. So
maybe he's just missed 2. I mean, guys do miss field goals. Sometimes guys miss kicks, and Drew has missed a couple. The kicks all count the same when they go through, but he narrowly made a kick against Iowa State that could have easily been called no good. I'm only mentioning that because it tells me that he has not been nearly as accurate as he was last year. What did Kirk have to say? We obviously didn't get to talk to LeVar, but what did Kirk have to say about his kicker?
Yeah, he's still got confidence in Drew. I think what's going on is the whole system there. Snaps, holds, getting the ball in the right place. I think there's been some breakdowns in that area. Delivery of the ball, centering of the ball to the proper spot and getting that spot there. All of those things have to be in a proper spot. And Iowa's been very fortunate, the last couple of years with Drew kicking the football, especially last year. Luke Elkin was one of the best snappers in the country, and everything was on time. It was put in the right spot. And now you're breaking in a new guy this year. And I think there's just been some things off. And then you had the punt, got a paw on that. And that's 2 of those in recent weeks that Iowa has had issues with. And that hadn't been an issue in the past. And now all of a sudden it's an issue. And I think part of it is just the block scheme or some communication in front of Reese. Is Reese going too slow? I don't know. But it's definitely something that's got to be corrected during this bye week. They've got to figure out some things on special teams to get this right, because Iowa lives in the margins, and they cannot have things like bad snaps or bad holds or bad kicks on field goal attempts late in the fourth quarter and punts that get blocked or tipped. They're fortunate to get a 29-yard roll out of that because it could have just gone the other direction. So they've got to get some things cleaned up on the special teams, because the return game's fine. Weegen's doing great, and I think Weegen's in the head of just about every punter in the country now. It just seemed like the Indiana punter just wanted nothing to do with kicking it towards Caden Weegen, and he didn't have a very good day.
I believe if he makes that field goal, Don, with 2 minutes to go, Iowa wins the game. I mean, I can't prove that, but I think they win the game 9 times out of 10 when Iowa's in these situations at home. The kicker makes that kick, whether it's Stevens, Racinos, Keith Duncan, Shudak, whoever it is, they make that kick. They have had issues with snapping and holding. Like, that whole process has not been smooth. So the missed kick decided it, but Stevens is not the only guy involved in place kicking.
Right.
He is the guy whose leg physically kicks the ball, but there's other factors at play here. So it's hard to just see when you're watching it if you're not a specialist, but he's beating himself up. If there was anything else in as far as a factor there with Bryant Worrell, who I believe was the long snapper on that play, Ty Nissen, who was a holder, then those guys feel horrible as well. But I guess we'll start.
What did the replay show on that? How was the operation? How was the snap? How was the hold?
I really wasn't paying that much attention to that aspect of it, Don, but I didn't notice anything egregious there. So I guess with that being said, Don, I will start there. When I got on here an hour and a half ago, I said I thought the play that decided the game was the missed field goal. And there were other plays as well. But would you agree with that assessment first and foremost?
Well, that was a huge play because clearly they would have been playing from behind after the field goal. And I'm going to check now to see what the clock said. The clock was getting low. We all know that. 2:01 on the clock. They burned up 2 timeouts on that possession.
Bjorn says, my point on Gronowski is that he looked like he could have played. In my opinion, if Drew hits a field goal with 2 minutes left, I don't love Iowa's chances of holding 17 seconds in the second quarter. Iowa needed a touchdown. Well, I can see that argument, but boy, I'd much rather play with a 3-point lead there, Don, with an Indiana team that would have had 2 minutes left to go tie or win the game.
Well, I made this comment in the third quarter. I said, I'm hopeful that we get to the end of the third quarter and we're still tied, but we'll beat them in the fourth quarter when we have the win.